Hey there, everyone. It's Brave here again. I hope everyone around the world is having a great day or night and hope you're safe and well. So, I've got some quotes that I want to read, positive words of wisdom. So, here goes. The version of me that you created in your mind is not my responsibility. So, basically, people will project onto you things that aren't true. If someone cheated on them, betrayed them, broke their trust, they will project onto you what someone else did, which is not fair, because if I haven't hurt you, I haven't done anything to make you not trust me. Or, I mean, you don't have to trust people, you can still be nice to them though. I mean, I've had my trust broken, I've had many betrayals, and I don't have to trust anyone, but that does not mean I will abuse you. I would never abuse anyone. I just make sure I just keep myself, aware of my surroundings. I don't put my trust in anyone. I just trust myself and protect myself. But I can still be friendly to you, kind to you, speak to you, support you, but I don't have to trust you with my life, you know? And when people, want to ask, oh, do you trust me? If I say no, I don't trust anyone, I make it clear why. I say, don't take it personally, but I don't trust anyone. But that doesn't mean we can't be friends, doesn't mean we can't be, supportive of each other. But it's like, unless you're my husband and we have kids and I need to trust you with my life, I can still have a normal friendship with you. I don't have it might sound weird me saying I don't have to trust you to have a friendship with you, but we can just speak kind words to each other. That trust or betrayal doesn't really come into that. You know what I mean? It's like if I'm walking into a department store and I hold the door for someone behind me, that's polite, that's a good deed, but they don't have to trust me with their life for me to do that. If I go out of my way to like pick someone up who fell down in front of me, like an old lady fell down, she doesn't have to trust me for me to jump in and help her. You know what I mean? Like, so I hope that's clear. But let me read more of these words of wisdom that I've written. Sometimes there is no support system, and it is just you, the universe, and the vision that only you can see. Unfortunately, I don't want to rebuild bonds that I didn't break. Whoever crossed the line, you did that, so I'm good. I do not want someone who stands next to me because they are lonely. I want someone who stands next to me because they can't imagine standing next to anyone else. Those who can make you believe absurdities can make you commit atrocities. And that one's by Voltaire. Someday, someone will take the risk for you, someone who is not afraid to choose you every single day, someone who finds real happiness in making you happy. So just to make it clear, I'm reading multiple different quotes, some that I've written myself, some that I was inspired to write that were similar to others, and some I'll quote the person if it's like a famous person in history who said it. Okay, so here's the rest. Ignoring her is only teaching her how to live without you. You think she's suffering, but the whole time she was just adjusting to your absence. It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than the other people, but care more about other people's opinions. That's not my one, that's Marcus Aurelius. And he always, like, when you look up he was a person in history, and he was very interesting. When you look at his quotes, a lot of them are really relevant today. Regardless of the odds, always put up a good fight. Stay away from people who expect you to prioritize them but don't think twice about putting you last. He who advances only on the good times will falter during the bad. And I think that one was from Sun Tzu, The Art of War. But don't quote me on that. I should have wrote it down here, but I didn't. But I'm pretty sure I remember that from that. You reserve the right to become unreachable to hurtful people who once had full access to you but chose to abuse it. The samurai is as gentle as a petal in peacetime, but as fierce as a storm in wartime. You're allowed to close the door on disrespectful people who don't see a problem with their actions. Nowadays, it's hard to find people who genuinely appreciate and reciprocate what you have given them. Respect, kindness, support, etc. But when you do find them, keep them close, cherish them because they are a rare thing. Butterflies rest when it rains because it's dangerous for their wings. It's okay to rest during the storms of your life. You'll fly again when it's over. It's only when you don't know yourself that other people's opinions become important. Never stop being a good person, just change who receives your kindness. It is both a blessing and a curse to feel everything so powerfully, said the empath. I will match your respect, but top your disrespect. Don't play with me. Steel will never become a sword without getting burned and beaten. Pressure makes diamonds. Some people never truly want to change. Hold on a second. Sorry. Some people never truly want to change. They fake it. Then as time goes by, they get tired of pretending. So people faking being nice. Why did I write that so weird? Sorry. Can't even read my own writing. What the? Sorry, let me continue. You have to go through it to get through it. Time always exposes what you truly mean to someone. You know, like how they say absence makes the heart grow fonder, or the opposite is out of sight, out of mind. While they were playing checkers, I was playing chess. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Maintain your freedom by any means necessary. Stay calm, you've been through so much and survived already, so you will get through and never give up. Keep going. No one is too busy. It's literally a matter of priorities and multitasking. People literally choose who they want to, keep in touch with. It's like if you tell a person who is toxic, hey, stop being toxic, let's be normal. If they're not brave enough to tell you something to your face because they know you're not going to tolerate their crap, they will just use silent treatment or ghost you as a way to punish you for telling them to be normal. That's how toxic narcissistic people with narcissistic personality disorders behave. Instead of just correcting their behavior, they want to try and influence your behavior by withdrawing themselves. But what they don't realize is that I never needed you. I wanted you around because I wanted to help you. I wanted to heal you. I wanted to save you, whatever it was. But I don't need you to live. I can live without anyone. I can survive by myself. So, and I'm not saying that to be nasty, but when I say I don't need you, what I mean is if you take yourself away, I'm not going to kiss your feet and hang on your legs and beg you to be in my life. If you loved and cared about me, or just cared about me as a human being, you would want to be in my life. So anyone who you've given a lot of kindness to and you just wanted to help them and you never did anything mean to them, but they kept being mean to you, and you just had like what they call reactive abuse. So they will call you abusive, but you just threw, hurled abuse back at them verbally when they were abusive to defend yourself. It's called reactive abuse, where you had no intention of hurting anyone, but you're not going to tolerate disrespect and abuse. So yeah. But let's see, what did I write? Be careful who you trust, because salt and sugar look the same. I have been imitated many times by the very same people who claim they hate me. Snakes shed their skins to become bigger snakes. Don't depend too much on anyone in this world, because even your own shadow leaves you when you're in darkness. Bad habits are like a comfortable bed, easy to get into, but hard to get out of. The tongue is small, but the words it creates can be powerful. Small but mighty. Because I'm multiracial, and the family I grew up with was the Jamaican side. So even though I've got, Irish, English, Scottish, Scandinavian, Indian, Indigenous, South American, all these different races in this multiracial family I belong to, but I grew up around the Jamaican side. And they were like mixed Jamaicans, but we were all with the black Jamaicans and the mixed Jamaicans, growing up in England, because there's a huge amount of Jamaicans and Indians, Chinese, and different races all living in England. And then it was so funny, there's this, this sort of, it's not a language, it's not really a different language, but it's called a broken English. So it's I don't know how to describe it, but it's Jamaican patois basically. But we say we little but we talawa, meaning we are a little island, but we're so strong, And our motto is out of many, one people. So that's a Jamaican motto on our coat of arms. And it's just so funny, because I was saying to my friend the other day, he's Irish, and I try to teach him patois sometimes. It's really funny. Actually, he's English and Irish, so maybe you call it Anglo-Irish, I don't know. But he was born in England, and then I was like, we're little but we're talawa, and he was like, what's that? And I was like, well, it means we're little as in the island, but we're so strong. And then he went, talawa, let me look that word up, because it's like such a weird word. I thought it was made up. And come to find out, it's an old Scottish word or either it's an old Scottish word or an old English word that means stoic. So how weird that this broken English had this old word in it. And then the weirdest thing is that most Jamaicans have Scottish surnames, because the majority of whites in Jamaica in the olden days, like 1700s, were Scottish slave owners. So they left Scotland to make their fortune in the West Indies, in Jamaica and the other islands. And so for some weird reason, they seem to be the most successful in this disgusting, horrible slave trade. But even family in even the mixed family, they all have Scottish surnames. Then I've got the full white Scottish family as well. It's weird how, I don't know, why is it that so many Scots were in Jamaica in those days? So strange. Anyway, back to I've got a little bit left. If you don't let go of the wrong people, you'll never meet the right people. Free up space for good people, because when you're holding on to bad people who just want to play games and treat you like shit, then you're not even focusing on who you can let into your life that is new and happy and, pleasant and kind and wants the best for you. You're holding on so tight to someone who, what are you holding on to? If you don't even like the way they behave, what is there to lose? Someone treats you like crap, don't want to talk to you, don't want to make you feel, like you exist. What are you losing? I understand that as human beings, our emotions get a little bit addicted to people sometimes, but you need to work on breaking those trauma bonds, or breaking usually it's when you've got abandonment issues or any kind of trauma, or betrayal, so when you come across people, other broken people, if you're a good soul, you want to help them, you want to make them feel better. But then if they're only able to operate from their trauma, they're going to keep hurting you because they haven't healed their trauma, or they're not able to understand that they don't need to keep hurting people, because they were hurt. It's like they're taking it out on you because they can't hurt the person who hurt them, so it's sad. And a lot of people are sadly full-blown narcissists, and I'm not talking about just a regular person with narcissistic traits to survive. I'm talking about someone with a severe mental illness who cannot control it. They are compelled to hurt you. They are compelled to, use silent treatment to try and force you to chase them. They are compelled to, want to make you jealous all the time, to be abusive verbally, to insult you, to put you down, to break your spirit, to take away your self-esteem and self-confidence. It is really important that people recognize that certain things that people do, it's not just a bad person, it's a genuine personality disorder. So I would definitely recommend that people go to Professor Sam Vaknin's channel on YouTube and look up his videos, listen to his videos, the whole thing. He's got multiple videos, and it really does explain what narcissism is, the different kinds of narcissism, the personality disorders. There's multiple different types, and it is so helpful if you're trying to overcome any type. Like if you've been, even just with family, even if it's family, friends, acquaintances, work colleagues, whoever it is, he has videos to cover all of these interactions and to help you, fight against it and not tolerate it, and how to break away from it if you had got stuck in a narcissistic abusive relationship. Because it's not easy, because they really do trick you at the beginning. They love bomb you and make you feel like you're their soulmate and all sorts of stuff, and then one minute they're telling you you're beautiful, I love you, and then the next day they're telling you the most heinous, disgusting, evil thing, and it's like Jekyll and Hyde. You're like, where did the nice person go? Bring that person back, and then you keep holding out for the nice person to come back, and the nice person wasn't really them. The nasty one is them. The real them is the personality disorder, the negative side. That is the real them, but the nice person, the one who acted like they loved you, was the fake person. And then some people will try and hold out for this fake person, or try and tolerate the evil side of them just because they're in love with them or something. And why bother? You deserve better, you know what I mean? Like, it's sad that they can't be normal again. It is sad, but they're gonna, but don't even feel jealous if they go on to another woman or something, or another man, because that person's gonna go through the exact same crap that you went through, being idealized and love bombed and then devalued. Approach, avoid, silent treatment. If the person fights back, they'll use silent treatment to punish them. Then they'll come back and say, oh, do you accept me how I am now? And you should say, no, F off, and put the phone down. But if you're kind and sweet, you'll be like, oh, okay, I'll try and tolerate you. But then what does that leave you with? Nothing. It's like if someone brings you a gift wrapped turd and says, here, I brought you this turd. Happy? No, I'm not happy. It's like, well, that's all I'm gonna ever bring you is a big box of shit. Like, it's like, but why? But they can't even tell you why, because they're compelled to do it. It's a compulsive urge to hurt you. It's very sad. Like, definitely go to Sam Vaknin's channel. And if there's any narcs listening, I'm very sad that, you've got this severe mental illness, but you don't have that. That's not an excuse to go around destroying people. And you really need to go to Sam Vaknin's channel, learn about what you are, as a narcissist, because he is a diagnosed narcissist, even though he's a professor of psychology, and he only learned to become self-aware of his and control his behavior better, so he wasn't always hurting people when he went to jail. Like, he realized that, oh, once he was in a life-threatening situation, he had to control himself. He couldn't just go up to the biggest guy in there and mouth off and, hurt anyone or piss people off in there. So in certain situations, narcs will be able to control themselves, but it's usually when they've lost everything. One sec. Oh, excuse me. It's usually when they've lost everything and they're at rock bottom and everyone turns their back on them. Why even wait till that point? It's sad that they got to lose their kids, lose their wife, lose all their friends. Everyone in the neighborhood knows they're behaving like shit. It's just sad. Like, and then they're going to cry victim. Oh, boo-hoo, everyone's abandoned me. No, you pushed everyone away. And people probably gave you multiple chances, probably tolerated your delusions and your crazy behavior because they wanted to be in your life, because they wanted to be your friend. Like, I've got a half brother and he is the biggest narc going, but sadly he became a narcissist because of severe abuse from our grandmother that we share. And she was such an abusive, disgusting monster. She used to beat him with belts and choke him and punch him and terrible things. So he definitely was an abused child. That's how he became a narcissist. But sadly, when he grew up, he was just always befriending everyone, going out of his way to love bomb them, and people would love him. And then as soon as he gained their trust, he would scam them, like trick them out of money. And it's sad because people really, really loved him. But the sad thing is, it wasn't him they were loving. It was the fake mask he put on, such a good, appealing fake mask, that people couldn't help but fall in love with the mask as a friend, as a whatever. But he was so jealous of me, and I didn't realize it at first because he was gay and I'm a straight female, and I had no problem with that. We got on fine, but we hadn't even met that many times. Like, I probably only met him 10 times in my life, and he's older. He's like 10 years older than me. And when I got married and flew to New Zealand to have the wedding over there, then I had another ceremony in London, where I'm from. So my London people, friends, family, whatever, who didn't want to fly to New Zealand because it's bloody expensive and very, very far. It's like 2 12-hour flights. So yeah, I didn't want to push anyone to go if they didn't want to go. And I remember he was so jealous that I married someone, even though he could go and marry someone. What's stopping him? There's gay marriage. Like, I'm supporting him. Like, what's the problem? But for some weird reason, he just hated the fact that I seemed happy. Even though I'm not begrudging him any happiness. If he found someone, I'd be so happy for him. And it's like, I remember the last narc ex I left, he used to do this horribly irritating thing where he knew that I didn't like him talking about his exes. So he would deliberately show me pictures and videos of him with his exes. Like, he even tried to show me the sex tape. And I was so furious, I nearly punched the phone. I was like, don't show me that. And I put my hand over the screen. I said, if you don't want me to break this phone, you better turn that video off. But he had the video, like, he said, oh, I want to show you something. And I'm like, what is it? He's like, oh, it's my ex and me together in bed. And I went, oh, whoa, what do you mean? What do you mean recently while we're together? He's like, oh, no, in the past. And I went, oh, so you're not cheating on me? He's like, no, this is from the past. And I was like, well, I don't want to see that. And he's like, no, but why are you angry? It's in the past. And I said, what do you mean, why am I angry? Why would I want to see that? Like, I don't want to see it. It makes me feel like you're focusing on someone else when you should be focused on us. Even if you do think of other people. Keep that shit to yourself. Like, why are you telling me? Like, be clever. Like, if I was thinking of an ex, or if I was having sex with my husband and I'm thinking of a celebrity or an ex or someone, I'm not going to call their name. I'm not going to do anything to let you know that I'm thinking of someone else when I should be focused on you. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's dumb as anything to provoke jealousy or anger in someone, you know, especially when he knew I had anger issues. But he wanted to trigger me, he wanted to see me blow up and get angry so he could turn around and go, see, told you you're crazy, told everyone you were an angry, crazy lunatic, and look at you now. And then they'll start filming you screaming at them, even though they won't tell anyone what they did to make you scream and shout at them. You know what I mean? So I just remember the girl weren't even pretty. So that's how I knew it wasn't like she's better than me. Because she was just some disgusting lowly drug addict. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. I'm not saying people who take drugs are disgusting lowly people. I'm just saying that in that moment, that's what I said about her. I don't want to like abuse anyone who's suffering, struggling with drugs and alcohol. I hope you get your life sorted out and stop the drugs and alcohol. Sorry, I shouldn't speak down on people because that's not really who I am. But in that moment, I felt like saying, "Who's this lowly drug addict bish?" You know what I mean? To hurt him, because I felt hurt. You know. So then I remember he was like, "Oh, you know, oh yeah, she looked like a model in a, you know, like a film star or something." And I'm laughing now, but at the time I was not laughing. I was pissed off, and I was just like, how dare you compare this dirtbag to me? Like, that's how I felt in the moment. Like, because and then it made me think, like, why is he trying to convince me like this girl's better than me or something? And then, even though I knew the girl was not better than me in any way, she was a really nasty piece of work. She drugged her own mum. So like, because she lived with her mum, and she wanted, like, the mum, if the mum didn't go out for some reason and she wanted to bring men over to the house, she would literally put, like, I don't know, sleeping, what do you call it, like a sleeping tablet in the mum's food or in the drink, I guess, which is dangerous and creepy. And then I thought, what kind of lunatic would do that? Because what if your mum had taken other medication and then you go and mix in some other medication, could stop her heart, or, you know, give her a seizure or brain damage, or I don't know. But how disgusting, like, that you care so much about yourself that you would endanger your family's life, you know, just to get your leg over. Like, that is pathetic. You could have gone outside in public, not in public, but, like, you know, in the woods, or, you know, in a car, or you didn't have to, you know, people even go in public toilets. I mean, I'm not suggesting these things. I'm just saying this is reality, this is life, you know. Yeah, so it was just weird. He knew that would bother me, but why would you do that unless you wanted to bother someone? But I'm telling you, he did want to bother me, because it's called triangulation. And if you go to Sam Vaknin's channel, he talks about that as well. It's very helpful, knowing that you're not crazy. They willingly and deliberately are trying to hurt you. They scan you for weaknesses, and if it's obvious, she gets angry when I mention other women, tick, I'm gonna definitely do that. Or she gets upset if I don't talk to her, like if I ignore her calls, or if I pretend that I'm busy, but yet she'll see me online out with friends having a good time at the pub, or, you know, doing social activities when I told her I was busy at work. So it's giving, you know, when they're deliberately doing it on purpose, you know, because it's not like just lying to you, like, yeah, I'm busy at work, sorry, and then you just have no choice but to believe it. No, they're making sure you see that they lied to you by putting things on social media that you both share, you know. Stupid. I'm so glad to be away from narcissists. Like, I would never be with another narcissist again. Like, I know the signs now, thank God. I know the red flags, and as soon as you make it clear that you're a narcissist with your behavior, I am gone. You know, I cannot deal with them anymore, because, you know, there's many people I've come across and you think, like, oh, because they got alcohol issues or drug issues, and you're trying to just be a friend and help them out and help them get clean or whatever. But then when you see that, oh wait, no, their behavior is because they're a narcissist. Yes, they have the added unfortunate predicament of being an alcoholic or a drug addict, however, why are they, certain other things they're doing is the classic textbook pattern of narcissistic personality disorder. And yeah, so when you realize that, oh, I won't even be able to help you because you're never going to listen, you're never going to want to get help because your personality disorder won't allow you to want to be healed and accept help. Like Narcs are so strange that even if like their rent was due and they were about to get kicked out, and then you said, oh, I can lend you the money, here's the money, they'd go, I don't need you, I don't need anyone. And you're like, well, you need some help, do you want to be on the street? Then they get kicked out because they refuse your help. Then you say, okay, well, come and stay with me then, since you're on the street. I don't want to see you on the street. I don't need you. And they'll literally make themselves suffer and watch you see them suffer because they know it pains you to see them suffer. So that's how stupid they are. They will actually put themselves like a martyr in the flames. They will put themselves through misery just to see you disappointed. That's how stupid they are, even if it doesn't benefit them. Like, I remember my pathetic, ugly, narcissistic mother, such a monster, short, fat beast, used to beat me up all the time when I was a small child, like between age 7 and 15, with a belt. Every night for no reason, just walloping me like I was a slave. It was horrible. And then she did other horrible things as well. Neglect, emotional neglect, looking after everyone else's kids and loving on them, except, like giving them gifts and toys and hugs and love, but then mistreating me and neglecting me and beating me, and then treating my siblings better than me, even though they were rude and nasty, but I was the nice one and the helpful one, but she would never acknowledge the help I would give her, And what I found weird about that monster was just when she got to an older age and all the siblings that she was looking up to, and like not looking up to, but like making them kind of like putting them on a pedestal and then putting me down in the depths of hell every day. Like, I remember I was so blindly loyal just because of who I am, not because she deserved it, but I was kind and loyal and decent and honourable. So I thought, let me help my mum, as any decent daughter would. But then it's like when I would help her, like she would always, hold on. Excuse me, she would always moan and cry about, oh, I never had a good life, and oh, I had a bad childhood, why are you complaining? And I'd be like, well, if you had such a bad childhood, why are you mistreating me? What is going on in your head that you want to subject me to terrible trials and tribulations and abuse when you say you hated the abuse you were subjected to? But yet, for some weird reason, they'd be like, oh, well, I got it worse than you. I was lenient on you. They're just so sick. Just because you claim you gave me less abuse than what you got, how is that an excuse or a justification for abuse? Like, they're so not right in the head. It's so sad. And I remember one time, she'd been through a lot of stress where she was going to lose the place she was living in, like get evicted, and then I offered the money, she refused the money. Then the bailiffs were on their way and I had to rush to the court and get an injunction to stop the bailiffs coming to her door. But then when I rang them, they said, oh, they're on their way and they weren't going to stop. And I said, no, I have the court injunction in my hand. And it's like they didn't believe me, so I had to stand in front of the building and stop them coming in and literally threaten them, like, if you dare touch this door, you won't have any hands left. Like, back up. I have the legal document and I will physically, bash you up if you. But it's like disgusting how my mum would never save me, even if it was something as simple as giving me a coat to wear in the winter. Like, this monster would never be there for me, and yet I was always there for her, putting myself at risk, because these bailiffs could have hurt me, but I was dead set on protecting her, even though she is a monster who never protected me. Now, like I said, I was doing all that because I was a good person, not because she deserved it. But at the time, I was just so blindly loyal that that was the feelings it invoked in me, that, oh, someone's going to hurt my mum, I have to protect my mum. Like one time we were on the train, me and my mum, and she was old at this point, and this rude sort of teenage girl, like 19-year-old, slammed into her, like, instead of just walking normally, like the train was crowded and you could just push past people gently, like tap them, like, sorry, I got to get by. But it was a crowded train, but there was enough room for her to not touch anyone in that aggressive manner, and she like shoulder slammed right into my mum, who was frail and old. So I grabbed her and threw her out of the door. Like, it happened so quick, like my anger just, before I even knew what was happening, my hands had grabbed her, picked her up, and threw her out of the door onto the platform. And then she spun round with her fists balled up, like she was ready to run back into the train. And I barred up the door, like put my hands out holding the two handrails so she couldn't get back in the train. And I screamed at her, "That was my mum you just slammed into. She's old and she just had surgery not long ago. Are you crazy? Are you effing crazy?" And then she unclenched her fists and realised that, bitch, I would have done the same thing. I would have threw you off the train if you slammed into my mum. So she backed down. And I was just like, I gave her the look like, don't you dare come back in this carriage. You better go to another carriage or get another train. And then the doors shut. And then I was literally staring at her through the glass. I'm surprised she didn't run alongside the train, just staring at each other like, bitch. But yeah, so all of these things that I've done for my mum that she didn't deserve, and then there were times when, like, there was a time she had lung cancer from asbestos inhalation that she'd inhaled many years before, like 30 years before, when she worked. Well, her uncle actually worked in the factory that dealt with asbestos, I think. And yeah, it was like she used to wash his clothes, and because asbestos is tinier than a human hair, it's so small, the particles, they can lodge in your body for years and then suddenly turn into cancer many years later. It's bizarre. And I remember, like, when we were told she had lung cancer, we were shocked, like, but she doesn't smoke and we're barely around smokers. We don't inhale a lot of passive smoke. And so the first thing I said in my mind was praying, like, God, if she has to die, take me instead. You can have me instead. If someone has to die, you can have me instead. And I kept saying that every time I prayed. I said, let her live and I'll go in her place. And then even when the surgery was scheduled, and I walked with her, held her hand all the way up until the operating room's door, and then the surgeon said, I'm really sorry you can't come beyond this point, but I will make sure someone contacts you when we're finished. It might be 3 hours, 5 hours, and I was like, okay. But I remember thinking, if she does die, this will be the last time I ever saw her. And it did hurt me, even though she was a monster to me. I wanted her to one day change. I wanted that day where she suddenly redeems herself and says, I'm so sorry, and let's wipe the slate clean and let's be normal for the rest of our lives, And I would have welcomed that, but it never came. Even after she survived the surgery, she didn't get the cancer again. So she's been given a second chance at life. And what did she do with it? Fuck all. She didn't do nothing but be the same nasty, evil person. And it just really broke my heart to see that, because I was saying to God, you can have me instead, take me instead. And that's what pure of heart people do. They would be willing to sacrifice themselves for others. I would have taken a bullet for that person, but yet they couldn't even care less if I died. That's the scariest thing, that you've been helping your opposition your whole life, your biggest enemy. You've been protecting them. You've been the bodyguard of your biggest enemy your whole life. You didn't even know it, you know? And yeah, it was very sad. And even when I told her, you know, when I told her when she came out of the surgery, because I remember while she was in the surgery, I went home and I was just because I went yeah, I was staying with her because, you know, I wanted to like make sure everything was tidy and clean, and I was going to stay there to make sure help her out after while she's recovering from the surgery and stuff. So even though I had my own place, I went and stayed at her place. So then I'm there alone, miserable, confused, like what am I going to do if she does die? Like, you know, and because at the time I was very attached to her, as you know, even though she was such a monster to me, I couldn't imagine not having her around, which is weird, isn't it? How you're attached to someone who doesn't care about you. This is the trauma bond, I guess. I don't know. And when I because I don't feel that way about my dad, and he's a narc just like her. He's the same kind of narc, sadistic, malignant, narcissist, and they're both the same, cruel. But he abandoned us. But when he did come back in, he came in with violence. But it's like I hate him. I see him as a stranger. I couldn't, you know, I couldn't care less what happens to him. If he dropped dead, I wouldn't feel anything. When his mum died, I didn't feel anything. Not because I'm a bad person, but because they were so, I didn't have any attachment to them whatsoever. No loving attachment to them whatsoever, that it was like, but yet if a stranger died, if a neighbour said, oh, my mum just died, I would have empathy and sympathy for them and condolences. But for some reason, because I knew how abusive the grandma had been to my half brother, and then she created my dad as a narc from her abuse of him, but then I hated them both, you know. And instead of feeling hate or love, I just felt nothing. I started to just feel nothing. And then when what was it like? Yeah, I told my mum. I said, you know, oh, I'm so glad you're alive. You know, I prayed for your safety, and I told her my prayer. I said, you know, I asked God that if you did have to die, He can take me instead. And she didn't flinch. She didn't even. Now, if I was a mother and my child said that, I'd say, no, sweetheart, don't ever wish to take my place. I'm so proud of you for being so pure of heart, and God bless you for that. But I want you to live. If it's my time and it's my time to go home, let me go home and know that I'll come back and watch over you. There is no way I want your life cut short for mine. Just like how you want to save me, I want to save you. And if I'm old and it's my turn, don't ever put yourself in my place. You know, live on so I can watch over your life. Find someone, be happy, do good in the world, help others, have a family, or don't have a family, whatever makes you happy. But just, you know, and then you'd have that exchange of kindness, to people who have so much loyalty that they wouldn't even let the other take the bullet for them. You know what I mean? You know, you fight the world together. Like, that's what I thought I would have had, you know, when I was a kid. I thought that's what parents were going to be, that those people who you want to protect them, they want to protect you. And I never ever had that. Like, you know, it's like when I meet people who come from good families, but they kind of take it for granted, I keep reminding them, you're so lucky to have parents who love you, who didn't harm you, who didn't beat you, who give a shit about you, who care if you live or die. Please don't take that for granted, because it hurts my heart to think that people who don't appreciate it always have what they don't appreciate. You know, they have the good family, they have a good upbringing or support, and the people who are kind and loving, they're treated the worst, you know. Yeah, so anyway, I think that's all for now. Let me just have a, oh wait, there was one last thing. What did I write? Yeah, keep striving for success. Yeah, striving for oh wait a minute. Okay, striving for success without hard work is like trying to have a harvest without having planted anything. Sorry, it's so weird. I wrote this. And then I can't even read my own sentence for like, what is wrong with me? It's weird. Okay, sorry. I think because I ain't got my glasses on, so I'm looking at it funny. Like, is that a U or a H? What is that? Sorry, but yeah, that's enough for this video, I think, and I'll be making more videos over the next few days. I try to do at least 2-3 videos a day. I probably won't manage to keep that up every day, but like, yeah, it's just I want to try my best to like put out good words and useful things and positive words of wisdom. And I just wish everyone in the world peace, love and protection. And I just hope people can survive, the good people, not the bad ones. But like, yeah, I just wish that I don't know, it's so hard to, it's like, when I say it's so hard, it's like it's so hard to understand why this world is so awful. But then the things I've been shown with my psychic gift is that this is an earth school. We come down here to do like an assault course for the soul, to learn harsh lessons. We've chosen a life plan before we came down here, and apparently even the terrible things that happen to us, we've chose to go through that terrible thing in order to learn certain lessons. Because when we go home, when this body dies and our spirit, because we're a spiritual being inside a human body, so when our soul, that spiritual being that we are, who you are inside the body, goes back to its home, which is a spirit world, what people might call heaven, then you would have evolved and gained a ton of, I don't know, PowerPoints. If you play video games, it's like you've charged up with so much amazing power because you went through those terrible, terrible things. So, anyone going through terrible, terrible times, I'm so, so sorry. I wish you peace and protection and strength. I just hope you can, get through. Pray for strength. Ask God and his angels to give you the strength to get through your mission, to complete your life plan. And if there are things in your area, your local area, that you can access, like free support groups, or whether it's grief support or alcohol support or drug support, like try and get those things. Don't just keep taking risks that will damage and ruin your life. Take the risk to improve your life. What have you got to lose? If you're waking up every day poisoning yourself, what have you really got to lose by trying to improve your life, by getting off alcohol? And maybe you could go and be a alcohol and drugs counselor or volunteer, to help other people. Imagine how different your life could be if you weren't poisoning yourself every day. And I know it's not easy. It's a terrible addiction. It's not like you can just turn it off one day. As much as you might feel ashamed and hate it, one day you might try and not drink for a couple hours, but then if your body's dependent on it, you're not going to be able to get yourself off it by yourself. And that's why you need support. And because just like how people find it hard to detach from a narcissistic partner or friend or family member, why was I feeling sad that my abusive sicko mum, who wouldn't care if I had cancer, by the way, wouldn't care if I was dying, would not put her life forward to be taken instead of mine? She would never do that. She said as much. She would happily see me homeless, even though I would stand in front of her door with legal paperwork, ready to punch bailiffs in the face, ready to go down fighting, put myself at risk. But yet she would never, ever do that for me. Even if it was something simple she had to do and just sign her signature on a bit of paper to get me to safety, she wouldn't do it. And yet, because of the person I am, because of the loyal, honourable, brave person I am, the kind person I am, I was always going out of my way for her. People used to be like, stop self-sacrificing yourself for her. She's not worth it. And I used to say, don't talk about her like that, even though they're right, she wasn't worth it. But it was as if I could talk about her that way, but I didn't let other people talk about her that way, because in my mind, she didn't even abuse you lot, she abused me. I'm the one that should be angry, not you. But then they hate seeing me being hurt because they care about me. They're upset that, why are you getting treated so badly, but your siblings don't get treated that way? So why is she choosing to pick on you and single you out? And you're the nicest one, you're the kindest one. Your siblings were horrible to her. They hate her the way you should hate her. But it was a weird, complicated situation. I only got away from her and cut her off recently after a terrible, terrible thing she did, and it was the last straw. And I just thought, I cannot, like my life was literally in danger, and all she had to do was sign some paperwork to save my life, and she wouldn't. And then luckily I had someone else who stepped in and helped me. But imagine that, years and years of blind loyal service to this person. Like, at first it was out of love, even though, why should you love someone who hates you and mistreats you and abuses you? But you can't help it when you're a kid. You can't break that bond. It's such a scary thought to hate your own parent, even though I could easily hate my dad for some reason, but for some weird reason I couldn't turn on her or get away from her. And then when it's like when I realized that, oh my God, she doesn't care if I live or die. She doesn't care if I'm homeless. She doesn't care about anything to do with me, and it's weird because people used to always say to her, wow, your daughter's like a little bodyguard. Literally from age 10, I was like, no one could say anything bad about her. No one could, how kids are around adults and they gossip about each other and they think the kids aren't listening. And I would spin round at 10 years old and say, hey, don't talk about my mum like that. I'm going to tell her you're talking about her. And they would get annoyed and want my mum to hit me because I'm talking back to a grown up, because they're Jamaican grown ups or mixed Jamaicans. And then my mum would slap me across the face for talking back to them, even though I was defending her. That's how stupid she is. She could have said, well, maybe my child shouldn't talk to an adult like that, but you shouldn't be gossiping about me. You should watch your mouth. How about that, bish? But it was so sickening to see how she would humiliate me and hurt me in front of them to appease them. You know what I mean? But yet she wouldn't appreciate that, oh wow, I have a loyal kid here. I mean, it's like I said, at first you really think you love these people, and you do it out of love, the protecting, but then it becomes duty when you've lost the love for them. But then you do it out of duty, like, well, I'm the daughter, I'm next of kin, I'm in a position to help. So it's like, if it's your nature to help and you're kind and loyal, and these are just who you are, this is just who you are, so not to help would feel weird, not to be loyal would feel weird. You know what I mean? It's like, if you're not a cheat, you don't want to cheat, and if people encouraged you to cheat, you'd be like, no, I don't, that's not me. If I'm not happy, I would leave. I would rather say I'm gonna leave because this is not making me happy, rather than cheat on you. But it's weird. It's like, eventually, like, they kill the love you have for them, and like I said, it becomes duty. But then when they really, really show you, I couldn't care less about you. I like what you do for me. I like that you protect me. I like that but they treat you like a service provider. It's like, if I want internet and I get the internet from the service provider, I don't think about the provider. I don't think, oh, who's the man turning the switch on in the morning to make sure my internet stays current and fast, and do you know what I mean? So I think that's how they see you. They like what you do for them. They're like, I just want the damn internet. I don't care who provides it. So they will go to multiple other people. This is narcissistic people with a genuine disorder, personality disorder, mental issue, they will jump from person to person to person. They're like a drug addict with attention. They need attention. And then they hate people because they hate that they need you. Do you know what I mean? They kind of, even if they withdraw from people, they know they need that external validation, because for some reason narcissistic personality disorder, it's like a void. They don't have an actual ego. People think they have a big ego. If you look at Sam Vartanian's videos, you'll find it's not an ego. It's actually an absence of void, an absence of ability to regulate one's self, you know. So they can't tell themselves, you're great, you're good, you're not weak, you're intelligent. All they connect to are their what's it called, introjects, which is like the voices in their head telling them you're ugly, you're stupid, you're dumb, you should be ashamed of yourself, you know. So because of that, they need to go out into the world and love bomb someone who will then turn around and go, wow, you're amazing, you're so lovely, you're so wow. And then that person will fall in love with what they thought was a great person, only to find, oh, this person is not great at all. This person's actually a sadistic abuser. And then they get trapped, you know. So it's very oh, this world is so sick. I can't stand it. Oh my god. And when I make that laughing sound, I'm not laughing at anyone's pain or abuse. I'm just laughing because it's like, I can't believe this crap, you know. I mean, because I've been a victim of two narcissistic, well, a narcissist. My first ex-husband was a narcissist, and then the last ex was, so there was one person in the middle, but in between them who wasn't, who was a fiance, but we just were better off as friends and just were family friends. And then we tried to date, but then, and tried to be fiancés, but it didn't work out, but we're still close. But it's like, yeah, like even though there was one or two other people who I tried to date and have little relationships with, they weren't narcs, but it's like I didn't trust them either. They were like people who were talking to multiple women, or, you know, you couldn't trust them. And even though they might not have been narcs, they might have been more of a player or inconsiderate attention seeker. But it's different. There's a difference between someone who's just, I want my cake and eat it too, and an actual fully mentally ill, personality disordered person. Like, there is a difference. There are some, because the thing is, someone who's just a jerk, someone who's just an idiot, can change, genuinely change, come to the conclusion that, wow, I'm out of order, I need to stop, you know. But someone who has a genuine mental illness, a genuine bipolar disorder, borderline disorder, narcissistic personality disorder, they cannot actually change, because it's more like a compulsion to do harm. And it's like how I have OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, and it's focused on having things really straight and a certain way, and having, oh, and I'm like a germaphobe, you know. Everything is just like disgusting and germy, and it's like I hate everything, you know, because it's germy. So in my mind, I'm like, oh, I have to constantly be sanitizing my hands. I don't want to shake hands anymore. Like, I don't know. It's weird. When I was younger, because I'm super polite and I have good etiquette and manners, but it's like I used to always shake hands, you know, a good strong handshake in certain situations where it was appropriate. But now I'm like, ew, I don't even want to touch people because I know they're so filthy. They don't wash their hand from the toilet. And I've seen it multiple times where these women will come into the toilet, use the toilet, one and two, whatever, and just walk out and not wash their hands. And then I'll be like, you dirty, disgusting wretch. Like, and then I'll look out there, it's the same woman who did it is now in the kitchen of the pub or the cafe. And I'm like, oh my God, you remember a staff as well. Now you're handing me cutlery with your pissy hands. Like, F off. Yes, but anyway, that's all I have for today. I hope you have a great evening or day wherever you are in the world, and do pray for strength. Pray to God and ask him and his angels to give you strength to get through your life mission. It's not easy, I know. I mean, it's so sad because I know in my heart there's so many people suffering in the world, and as an empath, it bothers me. Like, I genuinely feel bad that there's so many people suffering all around the world, dying in terrible ways and stuck in abusive situations. And you know it's like I never used to feel sorry for the narcissists. I only really feel sorry for the child they were that became the narcissist, because that child was an innocent abused child who didn't deserve it either. But it's like, when narcs mistreat you, you just hate them. You just, and then I try to calm down and say, well, have compassion for the fact that they hate themselves, and they'll never have a normal life, and they'll end up dying alone, sadly, with no friends and no family. Everyone would have abandoned them. And if that's their karma, don't interrupt their karma. As much as you want to love and care about someone, if they don't love and care about you, or if they can't be a good friend or a good family member, what can you do? Don't ruin your blessing, and don't ruin your life. Don't hold yourself back, because they won't appreciate it. You keep looking back trying to save them. They would never do the same for you. And the personality disorder won't allow them to ever be anything but your opposition, your enemy. That's why it feels like 1 minute they love you, then 1 minute they hate you. The hate is real. The love is false, the hate is real. So never ever, put yourself last. You deserve the same love and kindness and loyalty that you give. You deserve that back. And if they can't give it to you, it's better to be alone forever than to be with a narc. And that is facts. Okay, good night. Good night, good day. I don't know where everyone is around the world. And bye for now.